Hello, I'm in the process of loading up my slides, so give me a second for that. Welcome everybody. So happy to, we're almost done with my time on stage, and then I will joyfully hand the stage back over to Ladislao. But let's get through the session and more learning to be had. So let me, I'm getting my slides up, and as soon as I can pass the stage over, I will be deploying all of your voucher requests for those who've asked for the voucher for today. And again, just cannot emphasize enough, you must register it today. So, and today being Pacific time US. So I do know that many of you are around the world. And we love that. We love being a global stage and a global community. So our slide presentation is just loading up right now. And yeah, so actually, just always great to hear from everybody. I love people being really active in the chat. I love that we are an absolute global community and that we've got people joining us from around the world. Our speakers themselves represent many countries and our moderators. And so I see oh, who came first? Give me more context to that question. Okay, we have a screen now. I have a presentation. Let's go. All right, here we are. RAG, Audra. So I'm not going to be looking at the chat. I will be leaving that entirely to our moderators, and I'm going to jump into, oh, who came first to the stream? All right, cool. Well, welcome everybody. Let me jump in over here. Okay, so we've got RAG, Augmented Retrieval Generation, and External REST Endpoints. I remember being at the Microsoft's AI tour in New York City, and it was the first time I was hearing about this years ago. The first time I was hearing about RAG, and it sounded like really technical and kind of complex, and I wasn't getting it. And they were explaining it, and I was not getting it. And then later, just as I play and use my own AI, and I would want my AI to do certain things, and I'd just be like, oh, here's the document, or here's the website, or here's the context and the information. And then I was like, oh yeah, okay, that is RAG. You're just basically, rather than relying on the LLMs Okay, I'm back, but my computer just died, and it's now coming back to life, but it's being very slow, so I apologize for that. I am just powering up my computer, and I'll get my slideshow back up in just 1 second. So thank you for hanging tight on that. It's alive. This is what happens when my computer has decided it's completely overloaded. So let's get back into StreamYard Studio and let's get my slide presentation back up. I appreciate everybody's patience. So let's see. Yeah, I just totally stressed out my computer. It is not happy with me. It's giving it too much to do, and it has decided to put on me. It will be back. Okay, hang tight, and I'll just get. Okay, it's not a successful live event if you don't experience technical issues. Yes, yes, I can vouch for that. It's not a good party if someone doesn't, sort of something doesn't get broken or spilled. So yeah, welcome to the party. All right, so entering studio, I have definitely maxed out my computer. Very unhappy with how much I have going on. Let's see. Okay, come back into the studio now. There I am. All right, I'll get off my phone. Guys, I'm gonna get feedback. Okay, here we are. Here's our mod. Okay, trying to get me straight. Okay, get our slide presentation back, and we will be good to go. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. Okay, back to RAG. It's in the middle of my RAG. Okay, back to RAG. Okay, back to RAG. It's in the middle of my RAG. It's in the middle of my RAG. Discussion. Back to RAG. It's in the middle of my RAG. Hold on, I'm getting a lot of. Hold on, I'm getting a lot of. Getting a lot of. Getting a lot of. Getting a lot of. Feedback. Okay, that's what we can literally turn off. All right, oh, that's because I exist twice. There we go. Okay, now it's just me here. Okay, it is processing the slide presentation. It will be right back. Where did I go? Oh, where the mother is Lee. I'm not sure. I don't know. He was saying. I don't know. We'll find out. Let me. Yeah, let's see. Oh, there's Lee. All right. Hey, Lee. I was just. All right, we're back. All right. After a break. Okay, let us continue with RAG, Retrieval-Augmented Generation and External REST Endpoints. So this is the complete database RAG workflow. So every step runs natively in T-SQL, no Python, no middleware, no data movement, which we've covered before. So the chunk is AI_generate chunks, split source documents into fixed size text segments, control chunk size and overlap to balance context preservation versus retrieval precision. Embed AI_generate embeddings. Call a registered external model to convert each chunk into a vector array representing its semantic meaning. Store vector data types and vector index. Persist chunk text and embeddings in SQL. Create a disk approximate nearest neighbor. And create a disk approximate nearest neighbor vector index for fast appropriate nearest neighbor retrieval scale. And vector search, convert the user query to an embedding. Use vector search with iterative where filtering to find the top n semantically relevant chunks, and then format it for a JSON path without underscore array wrapper, shape the retrieved chunks into the exact JSON request body format required by the Azure OpenAI chat completions API. Now, again, one of the things to make sure that you are looking at and considering is just making sure you know all the JSON functions. They will be on the exam. And then you invoke it with the sp_underscore invoke external REST endpoint. And I was just asked, what time is it? It is here in my time, it is 12:30 p.m., which I know for those who are in Pakistan, it is probably at midnight for you. So I appreciate that. And like, again, our mods can stick around or jump off. And again, I know some people around the world as well are also kind of probably well past your bedtime. So therefore, and here's the thing is like, if for some reason, you can't register it this time and I send it to you, like, don't worry about it. It's not like my contact is on vacation for a couple weeks. And when she comes back, I am very confident I'll be getting my next tranche of vouchers. So it's not like if for some reason something doesn't work out and just like you can't register it in time or something, because I know like it's the middle of the night very soon for most of you, like, don't worry about it. Like, we'll sort it out. That is why, like, when I get off stage and I turn it over to Ladislao, the thing I will be doing is deploying all your vouchers so you guys can immediately go and register them. And then if you need to, go to bed. So step one, chunking with generative AI chunks. We just kind of went through the sort of overview of that. So your split text inside an SQL before embedding. Chunk quality determines retrieval quality. So chunk all documents into the chunk store, insert into a DBO document chunks, and then you can cross-apply the pattern. So the AI generate chunks is a table valued function. Cross-apply expands each source row into multiple chunk rows. Each chunk gets a chunk ordinal column for ordering. Enable chunk set ID equals 1 to tag chunks belonging to the same source document for group retrieval. Chunk size, character count per chunk. So the typical range is going to be 256 to 1024. Smaller chunks, higher precision, more granular retrieval. Larger chunks, more context per result. Risk of diluting the embedding. 5,000 characters equals 100 tokens. I did get a token tip today. I don't know if you use Claude, and I don't know if you actually upload PDFs into your Claude. What it said is you can do it two ways. I use ChatGPT and Claude. You can actually because I pay one subscription for ChatGPT, and it kind of does everything I want it to do, whereas Claude's actually very limited, and I run out of usage. So there's a tool that I found that you can use to basically turn all PDFs into markdowns and just give Claude the markdown. Or if you don't have that tool, but you do have access to ChatGPT, just give ChatGPT your PDF and say, please turn this into markdown, and then give that to Claude. You will extend the amount of work that you can do in a Claude session by giving it markdown versus giving it an actual PDF, because it saves tokens. So that's just a side tip. Okay, so the exam note here for chunk underscore type equals fixed is the only currently supported value. The overlap is 0 to 50. A whole number default and the default 0 requires compatibility level 170 plus. I'm kind of going back to the middle here. The overlap percentage 0 to 50 of the preceding chunk repeated at the start of each new chunk. Preserve sentence boundary context across splits. So a 10% overlap on a 500 character chunk repeats the last 50 characters. And then chunk size trade-offs, precision versus context. There is no universally optimal chunk size. It depends on your data, model, and retrieval task. So 128 characters is very small, whereas 2048 plus is considered very large, and then everything in between. So too small is going to be less than 200 characters. The advantages is high retrieval precision, focus specific embeddings. The trade-offs is it loses sentence level context. The LLM receives fragments with missing context, and more chunks is more storage and index overhead. The sweet spot is 256 to 512 characters. The advantage is it balances context and specificity. Most embedding models optimized for this range. good recall and precision for Q&A and knowledge base. And the trade-offs, it needs overlap tuning for coherence, and chunk boundaries may split mid-sentence. And too large is greater than 10,024 characters. The advantages of rich context per chunk, fewer chunks to manage. Trade-off is embeddings diluted across too many topics. The vector searches return less precise results and exceeds LLM context windows with that only allow for fewer chunks. So steps 2 and 3, embedding chunks and storing vectors. Generate embeddings for each chunk in line in T-SQL, then store the vector columns with a disk ANN index. With this, the schema behind the pipeline is the DBO, document chunks, document int, chunk order int, chunk text, nvchar max, embedding vector 1536. And then the B-tree index on category enables iterative filtering during a vector search. So the batch strategy is pre-compute embeddings offline in batches rather than in query time. Calling the AI generate embeddings at query time adds latency and burns API tokens on every request. Run embedding generation as a scheduled batch job after document ingestion. And the model considerations is text embedding 3 is large. Text embedding 3 small is, so there's the difference between the highest quality versus, the lower cost. And then the text embeddings ADA 002, that's legacy. So the vector column dimensions must match the model. And then disk ANN minimum, the vector index requires at least 100 non-null rows before creation. Insert all chunks and run embedding generation first, then create vector index. So we've now seen this twice between sessions. So that's something that's very likely to sort of be on the exam, is understanding that disk ANN is going to have that 100 row. It's going to need to be greater than 100 rows. So retrieving semantically relevant chunks, convert the user's question into a vector, then find the closest chunks in the database. So why embed the query at runtime? The user's questions must be the same vector space as the chunks to measure semantic similarity. The same model used for chunking must be used for query embedding. Mixing models produces meaningless distances. Query embedding is typically fast, less than 100 milliseconds for short questions. The iterative where filter, the where clause on category applies during the search loop, not after, in the latest disk ANN index version. This guarantees exactly 5 results within the refund policy category, rather than filtering from an initial top N that may already be exhausted. Top N calibration, retrieve more chunks than the LLM needs. Top 5 is common, but retrieve top 10 when categories are narrow or documents are sparse. Distance threshold, discard chunks with distance of greater than 0.3 cosine. They are likely irrelevant despite being closest. And the same model rule. You must use the same embedding model for both indexing and querying. Embedding space is model specific. Different models produce incompatible vector spaces. And step 5, for JSON path and without array wrapper. For JSON path and without array wrapper, where SQL meets the LLM API contact. So for JSON path, converts each result row into a JSON object with property names derived from column aliases. Nested objects created via dot notation in aliases. For example, role and content produces an array by default. Without array wrapper, removes the outer brackets from the JSON output, essential when the resulting JSON will be embedded inside a parent object, like the messages array. Otherwise, the array nesting is malformed. And why this matters for DP-800 is the exam tests that you know where these clusters appear, not in select output, but in constructing the LLM API payload. For JSON, plus without array wrapper is the specific combination for this RAG step. So again, everything we're doing here is applying that context. So now we're invoking Azure OpenAI via SP invoke external REST endpoints. So we declare the response through the nvchar maximum and declare the return value of an integer. And then you're going to execute the return value. So there's kind of some sample code. And then again, a lot of the stuff layers and a lot of the stuff we've sort of seen in other sessions, the managed identity authentication. So credential references, the database scoped credential creates against the Azure OpenAI endpoint URL. SQL Server uses the managed identity of the host to obtain a short-lived Entra token automatically. So no API keys stored anywhere in the database or the application code. And this is just super important because as we've looked at in other sessions, like the greatest risk that we all now have are these managed identities. That's going to be the highest risk surface for us all to consider. So here you have 150 connection cap. Concurrent calls via SP invoke external REST endpoint are capped at 10% of worker threads, maximum 150. Each call holds a thread while waiting for the HTTP response. Batch rows for JSON before calling. Never call per row in a loop. Batching for JSON. Instead of one SP invoke, call per chunk end calls. Assemble all retrieved chunks into a single JSON payload using 4JSON path and make one call. Eliminates the N1 wasted HTTPS round trips and avoids hitting the connection cap. And so error handling here is an at return value 0 equals success, non-zero equals failure. So yeah, 0 success, non-zero failure. JSON value is at response, and then the dollar response status HTTP code for the HTTP status code. Wrap in try, catch, and log failures. And I feel like there's more here that my screen is. Oh, okay. Sorry. For JSON path, for JSON auto, and you guys will have access to this, so you can, if this is helpful. And like I said, I'm going to give you two versions of the Notebook LLM, our behind the scenes one of everything we've sort of researched and created that you can view, and then another one that you guys can play with and ask your own things. So if there's something very specific you want it to create that podcast for you, or a set of flashcards for you, or things that just will help you in your study journey, I'll create it, share it, and just have fun with it, because I think it'll be fun to see what you guys all generate that you can use what other people have generated, or you can also you can. So someone was texting me saying they got the exam voucher request. So here we are for JSON path versus for JSON auto. Understand what each mode produces and when without array wrapper changes the output. Oh, I did have a question that came in. Sorry for the aside. I did want to just say that stick around. We're almost done. Ladislao is going to be taking us home with some of the other, MCP API concepts and his amazing study strategy. I heard it before. I'm excited to hear it again. It is so good. And he's never failed an exam that he's taken. And he just has a very methodical way of approaching this and getting what you need to be exam ready. So hopefully we can all take that advice and get ourselves prepared to, not just sit the exam, but pass the exam. And so he's coming up next. And again, as soon as I yield the stage to him, I'll be on the back end typing up emails and using mail merge to deploy all of your unique voucher codes that for those who have requested to sit the exam before June 15th. And I do request that you just jump in and register it right away. Okay, so, and if you change your mind, just email me back. But when you get it, email me and say you got it. So that's the ask. Okay, back to class. All right, for JSON path versus JSON auto, understanding what each mode produces and when without array wrapper changes the output. So you've got select role content from messages for JSON auto. The result for JSON auto, role system context, role user context. Select role as role, content as content from messages for JSON path without array wrapper. Result for JSON path without array wrapper, role user content, context, and question. No outer brackets, embeds cleanly into parent JSON object. So to sum this up, for JSON Auto, SQL Server infers the JSON structure from query and table aliases, always produces an array, simple queries, less control, column names become property names directly. For JSON Path, you control the output structure using column aliases. Dot notation creates nested objects. Alias AB produces A, B, produces an array by brackets by default, and without array wrapper removes the outer brackets from the result. Used when embedding the JSON fragments inside other JSON structures. Without it, concatenating into a parent payload creates nested arrays. So that's the difference there. And designing RAG pipelines for production scale. So freshness, how current does the context need to be? Tension, real-time embeddings at query time equals fresh but slow and expensive. Pre-computed batch embeddings equal fast but stale if documents change frequently. Pattern, use change tracking or CES to detect document changes. Re-embed only changed chunks via background job. Freshness window, minutes to hours, not per query. Latency, how fast must the response be? Tension, every added step, embedded query, vector search, format, invoke LLM, adds latency. The LLM call dominates, typically 1 to 5 seconds. Pattern, pre-compute all document embeddings offline. Use disk ANN for sub-millisecond vector search. Minimize SP_invoke calls with batch JSON payloads. Consider async pattern for non-interactive payloads. Throughput, how many concurrent RAG requests can you serve? Tension, SP invoke external REST endpoint as capped at 150 concurrent connections. Azure OpenAI has its own TPM, RPM rate limits per deployment. Pattern, use connection pooling awareness. Offload embedding generation into async pipelines. Implement retry logic with exponential backup for 429 rate limit responses. Monitor HTTP external connection, waits for DMVs. So SP invoke external REST endpoint is the full reference. So at URL, so n varchar, so your is the 4000 required. So the HTTPS endpoint only, HTTP not supported, must use TLS encryption. At payload and variable characters max, optional, JSON request body, used for both JSON path and without array wrapper to build from query results. At headers and variable character max is optional, JSON array of HTTP headers, content, type, application JSON is added automatically. At method, varchar optional, get, post, put, patch, delete, head, and the default is post. At credential, system name optional, database scope credential name, used for managed identity or API key authorization, omit only for public endpoints. At timeout, the integer seconds, optional, wait max wait for response, default varies, set 120 to 230 for LLM calls, which can be slow. Retry underscore count, integer, optional, automatic retry count on transient failures handles 429 rate limit responses with backoff. And response varchar max output. And my little slide thing covers my text. Oh, full response JSON, response, status HTTP code N. Okay. So I see that there are some questions in the chat. Hopefully, oh yeah, I've gone, sorry, it's the middle of the night for you. We're almost done. Yes, you'll see lots of information about RAG. And the other thing too, in the Notebook LLM, there's gonna be two versions of it. There's the one that's created that you will be a viewer in. I'm gonna create a new one that you will be a creator in. So you can actually, if there's something you're not seeing it, you can add sources, and you can use the sources that are there to ask it to create anything that you want. And so you can be pretty specific about the kind of things that you want to study or to learn. You can create flashcards. I love audio. It's kind of the reason I absolutely love this format, is that I learn by hearing. I'm a very auditory learner. And so by speaking it and listening to it, I learn. So you can create the podcast. Yesterday I was studying for SC500. I was asking it to run me through concepts, and I created 3 different podcasts on very specific topics that I wanted to learn more about. So it's going to be fun to see what you all come up with and create together there. So we're almost done, and I'm actually going to give you a break because we're going to go a long time. So if you all need a bio break, get some water, take a rest, visit the restroom, whatever you need, we're going to take a little break before we meet for the next session. Also, I'll run you through this real fast. Is complete T-SQL RAG pipeline. So you've got your AI generate chunks we went through, your AI generate embeddings we went through, create vector index, your vector search, your JSON path without array wrapper, and the SP invoke external REST endpoints. So those are the things you're going to want to know their applications, and you will be covered on this section of the exam. And that wraps us out. And like I said, I'm going to cut us out early on this section, give us a little bit of time back. Everybody will take a 10-minute break. We will see you back here in 10 minutes, but not back here, back in the next session. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to pop that into the chat, and then I will, let me get into the next session. Let me drop it in here, and then I will let you guys go on break and see you all soon. Okay, so that's that, and I'll set it out through Luma as well. Thanks again, everybody, and see you all in the next session. Just enjoy a moment break. And yeah, and I was going to say, if you do need to sign off, like, we hope you're coming back. It's a fantastic session, but I do know for those who are in South Asia, it may be the end of the day, and you may be done for now. You can always catch the replay. I was going to say, I'm going to say this to Lee and Usman. Usman, I know it's the middle of the night for you all in Pakistan, so it is a wonderful session 5. You can always catch the replay. I'm going to be heading, as soon as Ladislao is on stage, I'm going to go ahead and get him set up, and then I'm going to be deploying all those vouchers. So all that I would ask is I'll try to do it as close to the top of the hour as I can, or the start of the session, and then you can go ahead and register that voucher, and you can go to bed. So I would just leave you with that. So thank you, everybody who this is going to be your stopping point. Like I said, that specifically to our South Asian people. I do get that it's the middle